All right, imagine this. You walk into a room. You haven't said a single word yet. No speech, no explanation, no backstory. And still, people have already decided things about you. Your confidence, your attitude, whether you seem friendly or someone they should avoid. That decision, it happened in seconds. That's the power of first impressions. And today, we're talking about why first impressions matter so much, why your brain makes them so fast, and how tiny details you never think about can change the way people see you, sometimes forever. Let me start with a simple question. Have you ever met someone once and later thought, I don't know why, but I just don't like that person? You couldn't explain it, they didn't insult you, they didn't do anything wrong, but the feeling stuck. That's a first impression refusing to leave. Now flip it. Have you ever met someone for the first time and instantly felt comfortable, like you've known them longer than 5 minutes? That's not magic, that's psychology. Your brain loves shortcuts. Your brain is lazy, not in a bad way, in a survival way. Back when humans lived in caves, your brain didn't have time to deeply analyze every stranger. It had one job. Is this person safe or dangerous? So it learned to judge fast, very fast. Today, we don't fight lions anymore, but your brain still runs the same ancient software. When you meet someone new, your brain asks questions like, can I trust this person? Are they confident? Are they friendly or judgmental? Do they belong here? And it answers those questions before you finish saying hello. That's why first impressions matter, because once your brain creates a story, it hates rewriting it. Let me give you a real-life example. Think about your school or college days. There was always that one teacher who walked in on the first day with a strict face. No smile, serious tone, sharp eyes. And instantly, the whole class thought, oh great, this teacher is scary. Even if later that teacher turned out to be kind, funny, and helpful, that first label stayed. Every strict sentence felt extra strict. Every joke felt unexpected. Now, compare that to a teacher who smiled on day one. Same rules, same discipline, but because of the first impression, students thought they're strict but fair. Same behavior, different perception. That's the power of first impressions. Here's another example. Imagine you're meeting someone for a job interview. 2 candidates. Candidate A walks in, messy hair, low energy, avoids eye contact. Candidate B walks in, clean appearance, calm posture, confident smile. Both answer the questions equally well. Who feels more capable? Exactly. And here's the scary part. Most interviewers decide how they feel about you in the first 30 seconds. After that, your answers don't create the impression, they just confirm it. That's called confirmation bias. Once your brain believes something, it starts looking for proof. If someone seems confident at first, every small mistake feels normal. If someone seems unsure at first, every pause feels like lack of ability. Same actions, different interpretations. Now let's talk about everyday life, not interviews or teachers. Think about social situations. You meet someone at a party. They don't smile, they check their phone, they reply with short answers. Your brain instantly says, okay, they're rude or not interested. But what if that person was just shy or anxious or having a terrible day? Doesn't matter. The first impression already won. That's why people say you never get a second chance to make a first impression. Not because second chances don't exist, but because they're harder, much harder. Changing a first impression is like trying to erase permanent marker with water. Possible, maybe. Easy? Absolutely not. Now, let's add some humor here. Ever noticed how food works the same way? If the first bite of food tastes bad, your whole mood is ruined. Even if the rest of the meal is amazing, your brain keeps saying, yeah, but remember that first bite though? But if the first bite is incredible, you forgive everything. Burnt edges? Fine. Too much salt? Still okay. That's how humans work. First impressions set the emotional tone. Now here's something interesting. First impressions are not just about looks. Yes, appearance matters, but it's not about being good looking. It's about signals. Your brain reads signals like posture, eye contact, tone of voice, energy, facial expressions. Someone could wear simple clothes but stand confidently and speak clearly and instantly feel trustworthy. Someone else could wear expensive clothes but avoid eye contact and mumble and feel unsure. Your brain is not judging fashion, it's judging vibes, and vibes speak louder than words. Here's a funny real-life example. Have you ever received a text that just says, "Okay"? No emoji, no punctuation. Your brain immediately goes, "Uh-oh, what's wrong?" Same word, different impression. Now imagine, "Okay, smiley face." Suddenly, everything is peaceful again. That's first impressions in digital form. Now let's talk about why first impressions stick so long. Your brain hates uncertainty. When you meet someone new, they're unknown. Unknown feels uncomfortable, so your brain rushes to create a label. Nice, arrogant, funny, awkward. Once labeled, your brain relaxes. It says, "Cool, I know how to deal with this person." And that label becomes a filter. You don't see the person, you see the label. That's why first impressions don't just matter, they shape the relationship. Now, here's the big news. You don't need to fake anything. You don't need to become someone else. You don't need to act confident 24/7 like a motivational speaker. Small things make massive differences. For example, smiling when you meet someone, standing straight instead of slouching, speaking slightly slower instead of rushing, making eye contact for a few seconds. These tiny actions tell the brain, this person is calm, safe, present. That's it. No tricks, no manipulation, just awareness. Let me tell you a quick story. There was a guy who always thought people didn't like him. He said, "Everywhere I go, people seem distant." Turns out, whenever he met someone new, his face looked serious. Not angry, not rude, just blank. Once he became aware of it and started smiling naturally, something changed. People smiled back, conversations lasted longer, invitations started coming. Same person, same personality, different first impression. Now, here's something important. First impressions work both ways. You're judging others too, whether you realize it or not. And sometimes those judgments are wrong. That's why it's good to remember, first impressions are powerful, but not always accurate. Someone who seems quiet might be thoughtful. Someone who seems confident might be insecure. Someone who seems distant might be overwhelmed. So yes, first impressions matter, but curiosity matters more. Because when you give people a chance to show who they really are, you discover stories your brain never guessed. And finally, here's the biggest takeaway. First impressions are not about perfection. They're about energy, how you make people feel in the first moment. Safe, comfortable, interested, respected. If people feel good around you, they remember you. Long after they forget your words, they remember the feeling. So the next time you meet someone new, don't overthink it. Just be present, be warm, be human. Because in a world where everyone is rushing, the person who makes a good first impression is often the one who simply makes others feel seen. And that is why first impressions matter.